You're never going to hear me say that government contracting is easy, because it's not. But if you have an innovative solution, if you're a startup, you have a great new technology, you have a software that you've developed that solves a problem set, then there is a way to sell to the government that is streamlined, at least compared to the normal long government contracting process. And I'm going to show you that today, and it's not going to Sam.gov either. So let's jump to my screen. I'm going to show you the website I want you to go to and how we can take a look and see what the government is looking for to see if your solution can potentially solve that problem. Now, the first website I'm going to direct you to is DIU.mil. So this is Defense Innovation Unit. There's actually some great books about Defense Innovation Unit and some of the progress they're making. We're not going to do a complete episode on what DIU is, except to say that this is one way that the government has developed to mirror what Silicon Valley's doing, where we can get startups, companies, tech companies specifically that aren't normally selling to the government, to give them a way of engaging that is not as complicated as the myriad of other ways that I've talked about with sources sought and RFPs and all of this and influencing requirements. Here, we can come right to the DIU website, and they're going to tell you what they're interested in solving. In case you don't know me, I'm Rick Howard. I'm a former government procurement officer. Now I own govclose.com, which is the training and certification website and program for anybody looking to sell to the U.S. government, start a profession in government contracting, or work for a company as an account executive. So here is DIU. We're going to click on the open solicitations. Now I'm going to look at these. I'm going to see, do these problem statements describe something that my solution can potentially solve? Sometimes they're very specific. Sometimes they are very, very broad. So at the time of this recording, we're in early January of 2025. We can see that there are two open solicitations here. The first problem statement, family of advanced standard batteries for unmanned systems. The second one here is Financed First 2.0. It says the military installations and facilities are being asked to deploy a reliable energy system that's resilient more quickly and cost effectively. If I click on read more, like I was telling you about, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to be able to see some of the things that they want me to engage on. What are some of those things? Resilience gaps. Now, what's cool about DIU is it is designed to be very, very quick by comparison. Okay, and I'm going to talk about how you're going to submit through DIU. Now, once you find a topic that is something your solution can address on DIU, you are going to click on the Submit Your Solution button. I had to look at it to see what it's called. And what's nice about this is you're not writing a full-blown proposal to see if the government's interested in what you have. It's a much simpler process, so it's easier to engage. There's still work involved, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that now. Just one thing, if you haven't gone to govclose.com yet, really encourage you to check out our certification program. You know, this is not just an online course. We are working hand in hand with the students in the program to teach them how you really sell to the U.S. government. Now, this is based on what I learned as a government acquisitions officer, but also what I learned selling to the government for companies and helping hundreds of companies on their strategy, the tactics, and actually closing deals with the federal government. And our students are crushing it. We have people from all age groups. We have guys in their 20s that have no experience in government contracting, but are going out after our certification and landing jobs with big defense contractors. And these are high six-figure jobs. A lot of them have commissions associated with them. And because once they're certified, not only are they getting a letter of reference from me and a recommendation, but they're able to walk into any environment and talk to the CEO, vice president, presidents of companies, and be more informed than they are on how the government actually buys their solution. That's what you're learning here. You're learning actually how to do it. Very few people actually have this skill set or understand it. Head over to govclose.com. We're teaching them how to start consulting businesses based on the information we're providing. And also, we are teaching companies how to sell to the government and training their sales team. So if you fall into any of those groups, you want to become a consultant, start your own business, you want to work for a company as an account executive in the public sector, you have a company, you want to train your sales team, head on over to govclose.com and check out our offering because it's unique. There's nothing else like it. All right, we're back on DIU.mil. And we found a topic that we want to engage on. We just reviewed it, called Finance First 2.0. And so I'm going to click on Submit Your Solution. Okay, now, there's a few things here. One is when you scroll down on here, it's going to answer a bunch of questions. Okay, there's a ton. Well, I'm going to scroll down and just show you. Okay, you can see here, here's a bunch of questions and answers. So I encourage you to go through all the Q&A just to really understand what is the government after. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste their time. So make sure you have a really strong idea that, this is something that your solution could potentially engage on. By the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be fully cooked either, right? This might be something, a technology you've developed, and you have to modify it slightly to fit the government need. There's a lot of different ways that you could go here, but what I want you to do is click View the CISO Procedure, okay? Because this is going to give you the instructions that you want to follow. Usually, one of the biggest stumbling blocks to getting a foot in the door with the government is actually writing a proposal. So this may look like a long government policy or a document that's just going to put you to sleep here, but that's okay because I'm going to walk through it with you, all right? It does talk about DIU. It talks about OTA, which is Other Transaction Authority. I've done YouTube videos on OTA. Just know that this is a faster way for the government to make purchases. Okay, the government knows that they're slow. We want to be able to create technologies and use innovative technologies in the military and in other organizations. So we're using Other Transaction Authority here. That's what it talks about. But you scroll down a little bit further and it goes to, look at this. These are the phases of how you're going to pitch DIU. This is what I love about it, right? Phase 1, this is the solution brief. We'll find out later on, we'll scroll down to it, but typically the solution brief, and I've submitted these and been selected for other companies. Typically, they're going to give you two options for the solution brief. You're going to be able to either submit a slide deck or you're going to be able to submit, I believe it's up to a 5-page Word document. Or we're going to give you some specific questions. You want to make sure you're answering the questions that DIU is asking, just like any proposal, right? But this isn't a proposal. This is a 5-page. It's more of a white paper, okay? So you can see here, Phase 1 solution brief, submitted in response, specified in Section 3 of this CISO. So that means we're going to go to Section 3. The government will evaluate the solution briefs against the criteria stated in the CISO. That means you got to read all of the criteria. If you're selected, this is what's cool, then you're going to actually go and you're going to present your pitch to the government. This really streamlines it. So, for instance, when I went through this process and we were selected, I flew out to Silicon Valley because that was where the DIU office was that held, and this was last year, year before. But that's where we pitched the DIU office on the solution. So that's Phase 2. And then Phase 3, this is what's great, is they're going to tell you if you're selected or not. So then if you're selected, now you actually write the proposal. And that's going to be more of an in-depth process like we've talked about with proposal writing, where we've had Colonel Orndorff on talking about the specifics. We go through definitions here, but I do want to scroll down to Section 3 just to highlight the guidelines. They don't want brochures that are unnecessarily elaborate, okay? Do not send the government a capability statement, and do not send them something that just says you do everything, right? If you're a cybersecurity firm, I don't know how many times I saw this. I get a cybersecurity firm's capability statement, and it has 100 things on there that they do. Like, this office is looking for a solution to this problem. That's what you're addressing. Now, the solution brief itself. Here we go. So I was right. I didn't even check this ahead of time. Look at that. So it's still the same. Not to exceed 5 written pages in 12-point font, or alternatively, you can give a slide deck of up to 15 slides. Now, this is anecdotal because, I've been through this one time as on the company side. And I submitted a 3-page written solution brief. And what I did is I made sure in there that I was highlighting the past performance where I've solved similar problems for commercial entities. Okay. So take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure that, since they're saying you can submit either a slide deck or the written word in a 5-page brief, I'm sure both have won in the past. I'm not positive, but I'm guessing because it's in here. So you be the judge of that. But I would say, my experience, be direct, succinct, not using fluff and just elaborate BS words to try to, these guys are smart on the other side of this, okay? So don't waste their time. Tell them how you solve the problem set. And I also highly recommend that you show them evidence that you can solve it. And then it's going to go on here. It's going to talk about how everything's going to be evaluated. I'm going to click here on just to show you what the Solutions Portal looks like. Now, when it goes in here, when I say Solutions Portal, I mean, how are you going to submit it, right? Because I mentioned you're not going to send them an email. You have instructions right here. So you're going to click that, and I want you to read that very carefully, okay? And then as you, let's see here. Here we go. So you're going to have to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and it's giving you some guidelines about making your submission. I highly encourage you to read that. It's giving you a PDF on the other transaction guides, so that's something you're also going to want to take a look at. But here you can see this is an online form. So you're going to fill this in with your company name, the submitter name, and it's asking you questions about your headquarters. But here's the solution brief. So this is where you're going to choose a file from your computer. It's either going to be that 5-page brief or the slide deck, and you're going to upload it and submit your solution. But Rick, neither of these two topics fit anything that I'm selling. Look, that's fine. This is why I review the DIU website. And by the way, there's several others that I review every week. Sometimes if I'm being lazy, every 2 weeks, because topics drop all the time, okay? There's topics that drop here. We talked about SBIR and STTR a lot, and there's tons and tons of topics for them. So in future videos, I'm going to go over some of the different websites that I go to a little bit more in depth. But this is a way of selling an innovative solution, a new technology, much, much faster, right, to the government. Again, I'm using air quotes. Not easy. It's not fast compared to commercial sales, because it would still be, if I submitted, just to give you an accurate view of what the timeline looks like, this is from memory, but I want to say that when I submitted, it took at least a month or so for them to get back to me to tell us that we were selected to come brief them. And then the brief wasn't for at least another month, right? And we did it in person. So that's 2 months right there. And then you could probably expect another 2 months or so on the backside of that before you are told that you have won or you have lost and you got to submit the proposal. But still, this is you literally could be on contract in 6 months from just starting out, from just finding out about the topic, the need that the government has a requirement for, which is super fast. As you know, I tell people all the time, you could expect 12 to 18 months on a traditional contracting efforts, right? This could be in 6 months or less, and it could be a lot less than that, right? Remember, each one of these is different. Depends on how fast the government wants to go, the amount of money that's available. Is it available right now? Lots of factors there that you can learn about in our tutorial section on our YouTube channel at GovClose. Guys, remember to subscribe. A lot of people are viewing our content that don't subscribe, so I'd ask each of you to subscribe, leave comments. That helps as well. And head on over to govclose.com. We'll see you next time.